Good morning, Phil. Here's your machine. This is the Breville Barista Pro 878 in brushed stainless steel. As you saw in the photos, very clean unit. This one needed very little. Cosmetically, it's very clean. It doesn't have major scrapes or dents. Just minor wear and tear around the front where the cup goes in and out. A little bit around here. Small nick on here as well. Nothing on the front that I can see. Nothing on the right hand side. I'm going to give it a good wipe and polish after this video, but it presents very nicely as is, and internally it's very clean. It just needed a flow meter sensor cleaning because the machine wasn't detecting the water flow, so now it does. Working all good. I've also done the basic servicing, which is greasing the O-ring seals, flipping them around so they can last a while. Yeah, I think this one can go another 2-3 years before its next service, and it functions like new. Everything is good. No steam or water leaks from anywhere. Grinder works well. All the buttons work as intended. In this video I'll be showing you that. So I'm going to make my morning latte actually on this unit. I haven't made any coffees yet today. My first thing to do when I turn on these machines is I get my cup and I run a blank shot. So what a blank shot is instead of actually making a shot of coffee, you just make a shot of water. So that's basically going to run some hot water through the group head into your cup. It's going to warm up all those components nicely. Otherwise, if you make a coffee straight away without warming up your shot, without warming up your machine, your components will be room temperature, and so your shot will get cooler and cooler as it goes into the cup, and you may not get the best tasting coffee or the hottest coffee that you can get. So that's why I highly recommend, especially on this model, because it's a quick boot up model. So it actually doesn't heat up, it just turns on and it tells you I'm ready to go, and then when you start making coffee it actually heats up the boiler on the fly, and that's what makes it really quick to go from 0 to 100, and also very efficient in terms of power and water usage. You don't have to wait 5 or 10 minutes pulling electricity to warm up a big boiler, or again waste 5 minutes just standing and waiting for the machine. We'll try the single shot button now. I usually just do the double shot of hot water to warm up the machine, but we'll try the single button for you just to make sure that goes as intended. Generally, it's a flow-based system, so this button, the double button, gives you 100 mils of water output. This one gives you, I think, about 60 or 80. I think it's 80 mils of water output. So when you make a coffee, these will correspond to about 60 mil shot, 30 mil shot, approximately. You can program these to whatever length you prefer. You can go from as little as 20 mils up to 200, I think 250 mils. So you can have quite a bit of variability between your single and double shots. The cup is now very warm. That's very good. Next is grinding. So I've just added some beans. I haven't made a coffee on this machine yet, so I'm actually not too sure what grind size and grind settings to use. Each machine has to be calibrated and dialed in differently and separately. You cannot use settings from another machine and apply them to your own. I've made coffees on hundreds of Barista Expresses and Pros and Touches and Oracles, and the settings are never the same. Well, they could be the same once or twice by random chance, but they're almost always different, even on 2 brand new machines. So what is the correct grind size? It is the grind size that gives you the correct amount of coffee in the correct amount of time. If you want to get into the specifics, your double shot should take about 30 seconds, and it should give you about 40 mils or 36 mils of liquid espresso in the cup in that duration. That's the correct recipe for espresso. So basically, we'll grind a double shot quantity into this basket. This is the double basket. Your machine comes with basically all the accessories. They're all hidden in here. So we've got single, double, another single, another double. You've got the cleaning disc, the cleaning brush, the milk jug, which is in the sink now, so I'm going to use my own milk jug. I'm going to wash your milk jug later. Tamper and portafilter, of course. This double basket is the single wall basket. You also have a double wall double basket. The double wall is basically made with 2 layers of metal instead of this one. This is made with 1 layer of metal. The double layer gives you more pressure, basically. If you have old or cheap beans, you're struggling to get good pressures with the single wall. Double wall will give you more pressure, but they're going to be harder to clean, and they won't be as authentic tasting. They'll have this fake crema look to them, and they'll have a bit of sourness, in my experience at least. Whereas these ones tend to be the best tasting and the easiest to clean. I'm going to use my scale to measure the inputs and outputs. I want to be accurate for you, just to show you what the setup could look like. If you have a scale, I highly recommend you use it. Don't need a scale to make good coffee on these, but it just helps with diagnosis. I'll try to get 18 grams in here by adjusting the grind amount. So you can select a double or a single quantity. The double will, you can change it, of course. It goes from like 5 seconds, I think. Well, it goes from 1 second all the way up to like 30 seconds, which is ridiculous. Yeah. Generally, it's about 14 or 15 seconds. We'll put it on 15 and see how we go. Actually, put it on 14 so we can stop it halfway and measure. But yeah, basically you want 18 grams into the basket. Grind size will dictate how fast or slow your coffee is. This is the grind size dial selector. This will, if I rotate this upwards, it'll increase the grind size. If I rotate it down, it'll reduce my grind size. This will control the distance between the two blades of coffee of the coffee grinder, and it will dictate how large or how small the particles are. Basically, if you have very small particle sizes, very fine, like flour, think like flour, powdered sugar, it'll give you so much pressure to the point where your flow will either stop, or you'll get very slow pressure coming out in drops out of the spout. Just drops, one drop at a time, which is very slow. That's not great. That's what happens when you have a too fine of a grind size, so one extreme. On the other extreme, if you have a very large grind size, the particles are massive, almost like stones or gravel. Water will go through them very quickly. You'll get a very fast shot. That's not great either. It'll be gushing out of the spouts. It won't have too much flavor or body or crema even. So you want it to be in the middle. What's the middle position? It's a 40-gram shot in 30 seconds. If you brew a shot and the 40-gram shot takes 10 seconds, that's too quick. You need to grind finer to slow it down. If you brew a shot and it takes a minute to give you that 40 grams, an entire minute, then that's way too slow. You need to grind coarser to speed it up. So basically think of the grind size as if it's the speed dial. Higher grind size, higher speed, smaller grind size, smaller speed. Cool. That's a lot of talking, but hopefully it's going to help you in learning how to make coffee if this is your first coffee machine. Alright, grind size 5. Let's see what we get in 7 seconds. So that's halfway, 7 seconds. We had quite a lot of coffee in 7 seconds. That's almost 12.5 grams. So now we are on, what's that? 11 seconds. So it's an efficient grinder, this one. Looks like it's spinning quite quickly, which is good. 19 grams, so each second gives us about a gram and a bit. So we'll put it on 10 seconds. I think 10 seconds will be perfect for you. Because in 11 seconds we got 19 grams, in 10 seconds we should probably get 17.5, 18 grams. One more thing I'll include, because you've been awesome in waiting for me, is a dosing collar. I'll pause the video and I'll go grab that one, show you what it looks like. I should have had this from the beginning of the video. Basically, I'll show you how it works. You lock it onto the portafilter, you push the button to grind, and what it'll do, it'll increase the sides of the coffee. Basically, it will give you more headspace, so your coffee doesn't spill when you take it out of the portafilter. So now, if I grind the full 18 gram dose, it'll be like a little mound, or a little mountain of coffee, which sometimes can spill if you take it out. It's going to make a mess on the counter space or on the coffee machine. It'll waste your coffee as well and affect your volume and your grind amount, etc. So in this case, if you use this, you won't have that issue of spillage, and when you get the full dose, you can just grab your tamper and tamp it straight away from here. I have to take this out when you're tamping. In my case, what I've done is I've measured, now it's 18.2 grams. I'm quite happy with that. I'm going to spread it around with my finger, and then I'm going to press it down with my tamper. Nice and firm. If there's any coffee on the edges, blow those away, or just push them onto the bin or something, and you'll get a nicely polished surface. So this is what it should look like. This is 18 grams of coffee. If you don't have a scale, you can still check your dose by looking at the silver tamper, the silver part of the tamper. So this silver cap or silver part is going to correspond to your dose. So if you have exactly the right amount, which is, like I said, 18 grams on this basket, this silver part will disappear. It'll be flush with the level of the basket. If you have too much coffee, what you might notice after pressing the coffee, you might notice that the silver part still shows the level is too high. You can still see some of that silver end. So that's too much coffee. That's when you use the razor tool, which I'm going to get one soon for you. The razor tool is basically, I've got one here. This is my personal razor tool. It's this square piece that when you rotate, it will scrape the top layer. So you put it in here, you rotate, you just rotate back and forth, and it'll scrape the top layer. In my case, I have just a thin layer that I'm scraping off. So maybe this basket with these beans can be happier with 17.8 or 17.5 grams, and then it'll scrape the top layer. It'll make the top layer a little bit rough after you scrape it off, so I recommend you give it one more tamp. And it's nice and smooth. So this is perfect now. Yeah, so this silver part again disappears. If you have too much coffee, you'll see the silver part. If you have too little coffee, the basket will just sink very deep in. You won't even see the black part of the tamper. Hope that makes sense. Lock it in. Get rid of this water. I'm going to show you that the hot water tap works fine. Just turn this away away from you. This is good for making your long black Americano coffees, making tea bags if you want. In my case, I add a little bit of sugar to my coffees to help, a little bit of water to help the sugar dissolve. So just like that. Then the sugar will dissolve with this water. And it's going to mix with my coffee more nicely. Versus if I don't add the water and I add just the sugar at the base, the last few sips of my coffee will be very sweet because the sugar won't fully dissolve. That's just my experience. Reset the scale again, and let's make coffee. What I'm going to do is I'm probably just going to run the double shot to show you how long that goes for. From factory, this will go for way too long, 60 mils instead of the 40 mils that we aim for. This is going to go for 30 mils, usually 30 to 40. So this may go under than what I need. This will go more than what I need. So I can run a coffee at the default settings and show you that it's going to run for too long, but then that just means that I'm going to get a crappy coffee as well. What I'm going to do is I'm going to try to show you how to program. You go into the menu. You can select the temperature. You can select the shot, the single and the double. I'm going to select the double custom, and then it's going to ask you to press this button to start programming. And it's also going to show you a timer on the screen. Like I said, we want 40 mils in 30 seconds. So we'll brew the coffee now and see. Ooh, it's running quite quickly. I'm going to stop it there. That's 15 seconds. Too quick. Sadly, it looks like we might have to grind a little bit finer. That's 45 grams. So I think I'm going to keep the settings. I think the setting is fine. So now it's got 45 grams of coffee. When you make coffee with hopefully better grind size adjustment, if you go a little bit finer on this coffee, you'll get 45, 42, 40. So at least it's in the ballpark now. When you make the double shot, you'll get in the 40s, which should taste good. If you want to make it stronger, select this single button. It'll give you less water, obviously less coffee in the end. It'll be a stronger shot. And if you want to go back to factory settings, you can just select reset to defaults, and it'll go back to factory settings for you. Cleaning, very easy. Like I said, this basket is quite easy to clean. Just get it into the bin. By one tap, boom, it falls right off. Whereas the double wall baskets, you have to bang a few times to get rid of those. I like to flush after as well. So this is now ready to make another coffee, or just ready to stop right there. I'm going to convert this drink into a latte. So I'm just going to add some milk. So this is my jug, very similar to yours, but mine has a thermometer, not really important. I'm going to fill the milk just below this spout line, just where it starts. Just there. And then I'll get back to you. Okay, milk is ready. I'm going to turn on the steamer. Very quick to turn on, 5 seconds and it starts steaming already. What I'm going to do, I'm going to turn it off and then turn it back on after I've positioned myself. Turn it off, position myself, turn it back on. Keep the jug at an angle, keep the milk swirling in a vortex. And keep the wand close to the edge so that it spins it like a tornado. And then the depth of the wand, or the depth of the tip, will dictate how much foam you'll get. If the tip is very close to the surface of the milk, you'll get lots of foam. If it's very deep in the milk, you won't get too much foam. It's getting hot already, very quick. And then when it's too hot to the touch, I'm going to turn it off. Too hot to the touch, you can't touch the jug for more than a second, half a second. That's too hot, and that's usually 60 to 65. We're on 65 now. You can always buy a thermometer or like a sticker that acts like a thermometer on the jug, but in my experience, you just go by touch. It's usually very accurate. After you do this, the milk, give it another purge, or give it a purge basically just to clean out those holes, and then give it a good wipe with a wet cloth. So you want to clean it ASAP. You don't want to wait until tomorrow to clean. Otherwise, what might happen is that the milk will act like a bit of a plug, like a clot. It'll block your tip, and you won't be able to steam the next morning before you clean it. So it's a bit of a headache. So that's why I recommend clean it ASAP. It's also more sanitary to clean it ASAP as well. Lots of foam. Looks like we might get a cappuccino instead of a latte. I haven't made coffee on a Pro in quite a while. I use my touch and press on the automatic setting, sometimes on the manual setting, but it's. I feel like this one's a little bit more powerful than mine actually. Very tasty espresso. What I'm doing now is I'm swirling the milk around to mix, and then knocking it down to break any air bubbles. Sometimes you can get it very smooth from the get-go. Sometimes you just have more bubbles, and that's just a function. It's a reason. Well, it's caused by when you start steaming and when you take it up. If you keep the tip very close to the surface, you just create bigger and bigger bubbles, which you can break down by having the right technique. Sometimes you just can't help it. You just get big bubbles by mistake. Now it's nice and smooth. If you're skilled and you've got dexterity, you can do latte art on these machines. It shouldn't be too difficult. Because I do these videos and I'm not really fully focusing on the technique rather than just focusing on talking. Sometimes I don't get the best latte out. Tried to do a heart, but it doesn't look like a healthy heart anyway. But yeah, at least it's got a lot of foam, a lot of flavor, and I'm looking forward to having it. I'm sure you can do even better patterns and coffees. Thanks for watching. Thanks for your business. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate, and I will see you soon. Cheers.